Mind you, I watched this movie off of half an edible and I was hands like elbows deep in some nachos the whole time. So take my review with a grain of salt. Hello, happy Black History Month. I just went to see this movie, literally just came back from the theater, and I have a lot of thoughts. I'm gonna try to do this without any spoilers. I took very few notes in the theater because I was just so intrigued by what was on the screen. I could barely. Anyway, I'm going to start off with very brief character analysis. Very brief. Iris here is every girl falls in love with a loser. Literally. That's basically the premise of the movie. Well, at least in my eyes, that's the premise of the movie. One of the premises. I'm going to get into other things. Josh here, definitely a tech bro. Definitely an Elon and Zuck fucker. Like, he definitely an incel. 1000%. A misogynistic, all the things. That is him. Personified. Come to life on screen. Eli and Patrick over here, I'm trying not to spoil it. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here, they're really just, it ends up making sense later, but in the beginning, you're just like, okay, they checked the box off when they were writing the movie. That's how you'll feel. You'll be like, oh, okay, cute. Later, you'll get it. You'll understand why I said, oh, okay, you'll get the deep. Miss Mama's right here. Cat, ultimate pick me boss. Ultimate. She's the perfect example of what happens when you are the ultimate pick me. That's all I can say without spoiling it too much. When you center men and material and money in your life, you will always end up fucked in some way. That is basically her. Pick me's. You should watch this movie to see what happens when you fuck around. Fine. I feel like they wanted to include cater to you in this movie at some point, but Beyonce wouldn't have it. Robo shaming, just beware of that becoming a term that's used in the next 5 to 10 years. The police scene with her, it was golden for so many reasons. One, because the police scene just really is a great example of how police are. I'm gonna just leave it at that without spoiling. And then that one part of that scene, if you are a horror fan, like I'm a horror fan, particularly certain, I don't want to say certain gore scenes, but you're gonna like that. And for all of my people who've been on Twitter since like the dawn of time, Jabuki, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. This relationship right here, this threesome, kind of a twosome, ends up being a very interesting dynamic. Anyway, this is definitely a perfect example of a bro friendship with some exceptions, you would think, but there's still like no communication. There's no regard for this is just the perfect example of male friendships. I'm gonna try and say this without spoiling it, but the stomach area was a choice, and I feel like that was a choice that was very layered in I don't want to say something without spoiling it, but after you watch the movie and you understand what I mean by stomach, you're gonna, if you're a forward thinker like I am, like you're open and you're gonna understand what I mean by saying it was a choice. And it kind of goes back to the whole misogynistic tech bro type thing. I don't know how to better explain that without spoiling. This dinner scene, particularly Josh's part of the dinner scene, is so, if you have ever been in, and oh, also trigger warning for like DVSA, gore, like if you're sensitive to those topics, definitely trigger warnings for that throughout. But if you have ever been in a violent or abusive relationship, that dinner scene is going to definitely be like, you're going to feel it. That was very, the writers did, they were very intentional with the way that they made Josh sound, showed his character. Like they did a good job with that scene in certain parts, up until a certain point. Overall, to me, the movie was, I don't want to say a fun watch because the topics were kind of heavy the theme of the movie is heavy in itself on so many different levels. But it was a fun watch. I went in not watching the second trailer that came out before the movie premiered in theaters. Like, I didn't watch that trailer at all because the movie reviewers I saw were saying that is going to spoil it for you. So I went in completely blind based off of the first trailer, and I think that was the best decision I made because my mouth is so, I had to get some gummy bears. But I'm glad I went in completely blind because I was able to watch the movie without any expectations of what's going to happen. I recommend you watch it that way if you do go see it. I would give it like a 3.5 out of 5. I'm going to be a little more detailed in some of the things that I say on my Letterboxd review. So if you have an account, you can follow me there. I think that this movie has the potential to be very important in maybe 10 years. Like 10 years down the line, I think that it's going to be important, especially with the January that we had and the fact that it was released on January 31st. After those crazy, 10, 11 days that we had. because of the themes in this movie, it's just going to be so, after you watch it, you're going to be like, wow, we, we are in the shit.